So I got up a little bit later because I'll tell you, my sugar is letting me know the frequencies are up. Of course, it's Mother's Day, and a lot of energy is in the environment, and wow. So a lot of changes over here. I would say that with all the stuff that some of the financial changes that are going on that I'm trying to make sure I get ahead of, and I am. And then all the changes of my husband now being around more often than not, which is fine. It's just an adjustment of energy and schedule and so many other things that have to take place in order for that to work. Because when you have two households, like one on the truck and one at home with two different eating schedules and types, then it's integrating both the eating schedules, the time, and it's going to be awesome because he'll be home to take care of stuff that we need to during the week if necessary. And so yesterday was like, oh my gosh. There are certain things I have to get done over here that does require his attention, but his attention has been taken up a lot by fishing. So trying to get him corralled to stay in one place so I can get stuff done and all of that, it's like, okay. It's like herding kittens. And so we were fishing yesterday, like we got up really early. I got up hella early. And then we went out and I was awake and it was fine. But then I knew there was something coming in the mail that I didn't want to be sitting out in the rain. And we were out in the rain, sitting in the rain on the water. And I'm like, okay, the mail's going to come. This thing's going to come in the mail that I need to get done, take care of, make sure that nothing happens to it because we need it. And so I was like, I've got to go home. I got to take care of this. It's like duty before pleasure. I mean, finances and things I know I need to get done and make sure that gets done has to come before play. That's always been everything ever since back in the early 2000s when I started to get a bit more responsible. So I said, okay, we got to go home. We got to take care of this. And yeah, I know it's not your fishing. I'm getting, in the way of your fishing day, but there's plenty of times to fish. We have to get this done. We have to be here for it so the rain doesn't do anything to it. Because if you do leave mail out in the rain, it does get soggy and things get wet, obviously. So, but then that was also high frequency. See, when you're moving and you don't when you're moving, then all that, the heart palpitations get distributed throughout the body. So then you're just reacting. See, and so my husband's awesome. He tests the fuck out of me. And it's good because he's seeing how far I'm not saying how far I'm going to break, but am I going to do anything that's going to be crazy? And am I going to be violent? And I'm not saying I'm not saying that's a mean thing. It isn't. Sometimes it's good to have somebody test you in some way, especially if they know that there's a little bit of questionable background to see if how far you'll go and if you get out of control. And so I noticed that when he was testing me yesterday, because we were playing around and stuff, and then things he was just teasing, and then I'm like, fuck. And I just got so mad, like I did even a couple of years, 4 years ago about stuff. And I just got so mad. Oh, I got so mad. And so I just was like, I just threw my dinner in the sink and I went upstairs. And that's when I posted all those reels. And so I channeled everything through that. And so that's evolutionary. Evolutionary is when you get so mad and you don't even know where the anger comes from. Yeah, people tease you, but you can always walk away from that. It doesn't have to affect you. But when it does, and I had so many demons coming up because it does. The frequencies are what it is. They're crazy. And you don't notice them until you notice your behaviors. And so what did I do? I had all these memories. I channeled them through Facebook, through the Facebook Reels, and posting those pictures. And that's the memories of stuff that I was exposed to as a kid. Art and education, photography, history, all of that. And so then I also looked at motherhood because I noticed too, when I was taking a shower and releasing demons and all that stuff, holy crap, men work themselves to death. I have to get this out before I forget it. Men work themselves to death and women are evolutionary. We're the ones that are going to make or break our children. We're the ones that are going to make or break our society. We're the ones that are going to make or break everything. And so what we've been taught is a lot of women have been taught to self-destruct and to also just self-destruct their whole family genetic line. So this whole Happy Mother's Day shit, I'm just like, oh, that's another programming. Mother's Day, Father's Day, total programming, because it reinforces people doing the same thing over again. Maybe they expect a different result, but not really. They don't. It's the same shit over and over again. And then people do the same thing and they end up passed away at some point. And so what triggered that was when somebody posted, someone in my world back in California, I'm not going to say who, she knows who she is because I've taken her memes and evolved them. It says, don't let, what was it? Oh gosh, let me see what that meme says that I modified. Okay, so I said, so her Facebook said heal so you can hear what's being said without the filter of your wound. I know where it came from, someone in California. I'm like, okay, these are one of the empathic, pagan, spiritual, love people that are so prevalent in California, like all over California. That's why I had to get out of California, because I was going to get loved to death. Literally, I was going to get loved to death. Or I was going to get converted into some religion. One of the two. So I had to leave California because it was not going to fucking happen. So it says, just her profile or her post said heal so you can hear what's being said without the filter of your wound. So I knew that wound is womb because you have like a vagina, a woman does, and it bleeds every so often, and it's an opening that things can go in and things can come out. Okay, so that's also taking in memories and memories leaving the body. When you think about it, children are memories. You're taking in some dude's memory, and then they fornicate, procreate, and then now it comes a kid, a new memory, right? A new evolution, allegedly. So I said womb equals memories. Do not heal. So you can't hear what's being said without the filter of your womb. Abso-fucking-lutely. And so with this whole Mother's Day, everyone's saying, oh, happy Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day. It's all about healing, right? It's all about, oh, mom is everything. She is if she's evolutionary. But as you can see, so many mothers out there are not evolutionary. They're repeating the same mistakes as their predecessors, as their mothers. And of course, no one thinks about that because you have all the distractions. You have all the mommy and me groups. You have all the different things. Oh, here's flowers for Mother's Day. Here's just, oh, I love my mother. Yeah, okay. I love my mother too. She was a different mother. She was evolutionary. She was not like most women out there. She was not like most mothers out there who were like, Johnny, Billy, Susie, I'll give you whatever the fuck you want. And here's a religion. And that's all you're really going to learn is your religion. That's it. And, about goodness and this and that. And here's pleasures. Here's, make sure that all your body parts work so you can go and procreate. Here, let me give you all the nice little clothes so you can go and find somebody to go get married and have this. Which I understand that's our society. But as you can see, that's changing. That was great in the 1950s, 60s, sort of 60s. More so maybe in the 80s. It's been more accepted. There was a whole evolutionary upturn in the 60s and 70s, and then the 80s was like, oh, drugs, and then the undetected mind control people. Okay, so in my world, mother can be both sides. I absolutely love the fact that my mother introduced me to everything out there as far as arts, not all the entertainment, but a lot of stuff. And on the other side of it was a lot of programming. And so, but, oh God, all right. And there's so much, I'm telling you, there's so fucking much. It's just like insane. But I'm happy with those both sides. But people do the best they can. I understand that. But I'm so happy she introduced that to me. And then on their side of it, I knew there was programming. And then there is just repeating the same mistakes. But then we have to, right? Because we have to have clones in our society. If everybody was evolutionary, then we'd have chaos, right? Too much evolution is chaos. Not enough evolution is stagnancy and then chaos. And so how do you juggle? Fuck, I don't know. But times are changing now. The 80s is about undetected mind control, right? Undetected means that you do things to program people when they don't really remember. And so they have behaviors that they can't even pinpoint where the hell they came from, but they're just there. And then you can place blame, right? Just like you have all these different symptoms and you guys don't know where the fuck these symptoms came from. There's so many things that happen within, you're born and even in your genetic line that you have no idea where your symptoms originate. Well, that's the same thing with the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, the undetected mind control people that are programmed in our society. Things happen to them as babies, as children, before they're able to remember, and then it comes out in symptoms, and it comes out in behaviors and archetypes. But that's evolution, that's motherhood. Or you reinforce the same archetypes. Okay, that's our society. That's Babylon. That's a functioning society. That's an advanced civilization where we have people who are not even aware of how they're programmed, but they just do. Okay, but then you can't get mad at that because that's needed on some level. But then there's also a suffering attached, and you're seeing right now the suffering come up. You're seeing people crying out of nowhere. I've seen people on my Facebook like they're crying, they don't know where the hell that stuff comes from. And they just cry out of nowhere because the frequencies are so much, they're bringing up the memories. They're bringing everything up. And so there's so many storylines at play. And so when I responded on my Facebook about wombs and memories, I said, so is it really a happy Mother's Day? And I'm saying no on my end because, it could be. It's on how you look at it. But it just depends on, are you being given the choice to be evolutionary or to be some archetype that you reinforce? And if that works for you and you're not suffering, but how do you know this if you're under the influence, right? This is where shit can go crazy because how do you know until you actually become uncured? And so is it really Happy Mother's Day? No, because you see the same mistakes are being made over and over and over again, but you can't say anything. So you just sit on your Facebook. So if you heal, it means you'll forget and repeat the history over and over again. So that's why there's cancer, disease, chronic illness, and the same wars, right? All the same wars. World War I, World War II, and before that, the Civil War. After that, all the different wars, the Vietnam War, Cultural Revolution, every single freaking war known to mankind. It's all the same wars, dressed up differently with a different intention, a different enemy, a different manufactured enemy. And I will say this manufactured enemy, because I remember, and I was trying to apologize to my sister for not being there for her when we were going through that shit, and she also left home at some point early, and I'm trying to apologize. I'm sorry if I wasn't a good sister and all this other stuff. And I remember talking to my mom and she was saying, she's never ever going to ever get close to you, ever. She told me this, and I'm just like, okay. Then I remember the whole jewelry box. Remember I told you guys about the jewelry box a couple of years ago? That there was an actual psychological operation in our household at a young age where there was a manufactured situation that then so the situation was someone was playing with jewelry in the jewelry box, which we never would, right? We were too scared shitless to do anything outside of what we were supposed to do. So she goes, you guys are both going in your room separately, stay in there until somebody comes out and says they were the one that did it. So I don't know what my sister does all the time. She doesn't know what I do all the time. Obviously, we're not made to watch each other like a fucking hawk. So there comes the strategy. There comes who's going to be the one to force somebody to lie and say they were the ones that did the jewelry box. Well, guess what? I was the one that told her, hey, if you say that you were the one that did it, I'll do this, this, and this for you. There was negotiating. And she's young. She doesn't know any better. I'm just strategizing, surviving. I want to get out of my room. I want to go play. So I had her take the fall. That was what clinched it. That's what divided us right from the get-go. Was when I strategized and said, you know what, sister, tell mom that you're the one that did it. And I forget what happened. I'm sure it wasn't pretty. So she took the fall and repercussions happened. And then I'm using that as a way to manipulate the fuck out of her. So I knew that if I could just get her to do this, and I'll say I'll do that. Oh, that's what, that was a 9/11. That was a 9/11 in that household, a manufactured war. And so that's when there was never going to be a sisterhood between us. There was never meant to be a sisterhood between us. ever. I figured that out now within the last few years. So yeah, so then not being there even when all that shit was going down with her leaving the house, okay. And I just had my own shit going on. Then we try to come back together in our 20s. And she's going off in her world. And I'm doing my world. There was fucking no way we were ever going to be ever close. Ever. Because of that manufactured war in that household at that time, at 5 or 6 or 7 years old, when someone purposely weaponizes somebody against you. That's what 9/11 was. 9/11 was no different than that situation. Because I couldn't for the life of me figure out why it is that we had so much shit between us. So much. And so yes, mothers can bring things together and make wonderful things, but if she's also undermining her child with operations, with herbs and extracts and pills and powders and supplements, and bringing in weird, nefarious people because she has her own issues, she can fucking break her goddamn family. And if she's made to divide people, she can break her fucking family. And many mothers have. And some mothers can bring everything together too. And so, but even bringing things together, but what are you then? Is she going to be evolution? She can bring things together and say, okay, now there's a change. Can you handle the change? This is a change. This is what's going to happen. But you don't see mothers out there do that. They don't know how to handle fucking change. And you even introduce change. Holy shit. They go unglued, say, I'm protecting my kid from this and that. And so the system bred that into the fucking population. Okay? And so there's two sides to it all. I mean, when you're being developed as an undetectable mind control fucking slave, so to speak, don't even know where your behaviors come from, don't even know why shit happens the way they happen, but then what is the scapegoat? The Vietnam War. Oh, you're fucked up. And what's the scapegoat now for everybody out there? It's either the V's, GMO, water, air, some enemy over there in the south of the border, some enemy over there in the Middle East, some enemy over there, is a Democrat, Republican, all that shit. So that's why I wasn't surprised with the whole lockdowns. It was so familiar to me. It was as if I lived this shit before. It was so fucking familiar. I was just like, what the fuck? And you can't put your finger on it until you start releasing those demons. You face everything. You eat food. I'm seeing people right now who are dealing with a lot of pain, and they're turning to the antibiotics, not food. Because what happens is when you eat the food, yes, that food then goes to your body. You have demons that your body is pushing out. Those demons will be in the form of your poop. Your poop will stay in your system for a minute and control your actions, reactions, everything that's coming up for you. And then you'd be like, what the hell? And then that was what happened yesterday. There was demons that were coming up, and it was controlling me, but it wasn't aggressive. It wasn't horrible. And so what did I do? I just threw my dinner in the sink, stomped upstairs like a fucking child, because I was like a child yesterday. My husband, he's such a sweetheart. I love him. And he's such a fucking sweetheart. And so I stop upstairs and I go and fucking post those reels. I'm like, and so that's where all that art came from, right? And then I come back downstairs. I'm like, okay, honey, I'm good. I'm not mad at you. Just stop fucking teasing me and shit. And that was it. But then this morning I released those demons. And it was painful. Yeah, it was painful. It's like you're giving birth. It's like you're giving birth of a demon, which is coming out of your fucking ass, and you're releasing it. Like you're literally releasing the demons. And then you have clarity. But people don't feed themselves. They take the antibiotics. Their mothers told them, take antibiotics. Their mothers told them to take herbs and extracts and tinctures. Their mothers told them to do all this chakra, energy healing shit. Their mothers told them to go get an operation. Their mothers told them to go find a man, go find a woman, go get laid, do this, go do that. So we have mothers that are breaking their fucking kids, breaking their friends and family, breaking everyone around them. And we have mothers that are probably keeping things together, but eventually they break apart. So you can have, that's what I'm saying. I'll tell you, motherhood has been weaponized. And so is it really a happy Mother's Day? No, motherhood has been weaponized because it is part of a Babylonian advanced society, but you're not given the choice. Now you're given the choice if you can handle my information, not get offended. But people get offended because they can't even question why they have dreadlocks. They can't even question why they're all organic. They can't even question why they're hippies. Okay? They can't even question why they go into the energy healing guru, whatever world. Whether it's religion, it's like Yah or Jehovah or Judaism or any other religion. They don't even question why they do that. It was just given to them. And it's just being repeated over and over again as if it was just like being uploaded information. You're like a robot. You're being uploaded information. You're told, yeah, it's historical. Yeah, it's going on 6,000 years or 600 years. It may have. But look how many generations of robots. Look how many generations of freaking Microsoft. Ever since Windows 94, not Windows, MS-DOS. And you see them, all those legacy, right? And you see the evolution of the computers. Well, take that. So many years of people dying and reproducing. And you have billions and billions of people who are little robots who are given storylines. There's so many of them. But they're given 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, and they're conflicting with each other, and they're going to war with each other. But you were given a fucking storyline. Now you gotta think about all the fucking storylines are relevant, and you can even develop your own fucking storyline. How about that? Oh, well, I can't do that. I can't develop my own storyline. I have to keep repeating the same one that's given to me ever since I was born. Ever since whenever. And that's the conflict in our society. Because they were given a fucking storyline, and they can't, for the life of them, ever get away from it. And so what did I say? And so, oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. There's that. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to what I said. There's so much. So humans need to grow up and realize there's more than one storyline going on. If you are not open to hearing any other storylines, remember I have my arms closed. It means I'm closing up to everyone's bullshit out there, and I'm keeping with my own storyline here. So humans need to grow up and realize there's more than one storyline going on. If you are not open to hearing any other storyline, then please go back to your homogenized world. Every single storyline out there is correct. Every single one of them. So if you're all about the energy healing and, oh my God, they're trying to destroy us, yeah, that's probably true. But you also can save yourself. You also can save yourself, and you have to face the pain, and you have to get off your fucking antibiotics, your surgeries, every single tincture, every single thing, starvation, all your little herbs and extracts. But hey, you're the one that's got to determine that, not me. But every single fucking storyline is correct, every single one, and even the ones you develop yourself. You can make up whatever the fuck you want, and it would be correct because that would be your reality, and you will make that reality happen because you think it up. And then your body, mind, and spirit will also follow suit and do the kinetic energy, bring the materials together, and produce your reality. So any fucking story. That's the magic that you don't even realize. That's what Disney was telling you. But people are like, oh my God, that's satanic. No, they were telling you they're developing magic that you have absolute access to if you understand physics and chemistry and biochemistry and action reaction and societal constructs and social engineering and bioengineering. If you choose to close your eyes to all those and you want to stay in your little religion of this and that, then your whole world is going to be so blinded from you. You'll have one little tiny, like little slice of the pie and live in that tiny little fucking reality. That tiny little pond that will all fornicate with each other and then cannibalize the fuck out of each other. That's exactly what's going on. That's what families are right now. That's what motherhood is right now. Is that there's a little tiny little pond of a family, right? And you have the mother hen that's like all knowing, everything knowing, and over the father hen, or some matriarch, patriarch, or some head of some cult or some activism group. And they don't allow really anything, they don't allow anything new come in and upset the homeostasis. But you're like the same way too. Yes, but I am also not telling you can't think that way. Just do it on your Facebook. Okay? But I also entertain so many different things. But anyways, and then what happens is that people, they fornicate with each other, and because they're all doing the whole mutual masturbation with each other. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so this. You're so that. you're so amazing, thank you for doing all what you're doing, which, okay, people do that with me too, but I don't love it. And they're just, bowing down a supplication. And that's the same thing in your religion. And then it's the cannibalization. It's the cannibalization. And so the only way you can see that is if you actually step away from all of your politics, your religion, your science dogmas. Is that going to happen for most people? Fuck no. Because that's their identity. Okay. And so, but what begs the question is, are you going to survive all the storylines? So if you don't survive and you have no intention, so if you don't survive and you have no intention of surviving because you believe you should die anyways, then it doesn't matter what the fuck you believe or do not believe. It's not going to matter because you ain't going to be around for it. So it's pointless to argue storylines if you're not going to be around anyways. And so anyone that's trying to counter my shit, trying to tell me, the reason why the Vietnam War over here in Australia is because of this, this, and this. I'm like, no shit. We're the one that gave you the Vietnam War and the whole hippie activist movement. Okay? The whole hippie movement was translated into the Canada, translated into the UK, translated into Australia. Okay? Most of the first world, all the allies, I guess. Okay? So the fucking hippie movement was developed in freaking San Francisco. The hub of bioengineering, the hub of geoengineering, the hub of social engineering, the hub of the drug culture, the sex culture. Where the hell do you think your culture came from? All your religions? Shit, the Rosicrucian came out of it's out of San Jose, the whole Rosicrucian Museum and Alchemy. And then you get what people like the Freemasons. Okay, yeah. They're a brotherhood. They have their levels of awareness, degrees of awareness. And the lower levels don't know what the higher levels do. No different than your freaking corporation. You really think the janitor knows what goes on, the ins and outs of high level shit over there at the CEO's office, the COO office? No. There's levels of awareness. There's need to know basis, secret, top secret, private, whatever. Okay? So your whole fucking culture was given to you. And that's why that postdoc, the one that I dated a long time ago, studying molecular biology, molecular engineering. He was in the pharmaceuticals at UCSF. And he told me one day I don't know where it came from, like why he said it, but he's like, San Francisco is the center of the universe. And I'm just like, is that geocentrism? Is that, all that? Because geocentrics are like, my world is the best world, it's the only world, and that's it. So I was attributing that to geocentrism, that he was narcissistically geocentric because he's getting a doctorate at UCSF in molecular biology. And then now, 20-something years later, like really 20 years later, I'm like, he's fucking right. Well, he understood, when you have a doctorate, you've understood history. The history of engineering, the history of chemical engineering, history of bioengineering, molecular biology. You're knowing the history of everything. You have to. You got to know where it all comes from. You got to know what you're doing. And then, of course, there's spin on it. We're advancing humanity, which, yeah, they are. If your body can handle it, if you're evolutionary enough to release the demons and take on new evolution. But why it's a double-edged sword is you have those that are homogenized, de-evolutionary, willing to destroy their own family. They can't handle any kind of fucking advancement. So then they're like, oh yeah, they're trying to destroy us. Yeah, because you can't handle fucking shit. You're not willing to eat. You're willing to take all the antibiotics out there. And of course your friends and family are going to be, yeah, take the antibiotics. Oh yeah, take this tincture on top of that. Take this spice on top of that. So you're getting validation and pity and sympathy. And that's going to reinforce your current religion. And of course, you'll have kids on top of that, teaching that to your children. So in this society, what the system is doing, they're releasing the demons. The climate change is releasing the memories that are about self-destruct. But if they're not teaching immortality and longevity, then are they really teaching self-destruct? Or are they just destroying the ones that are undesirable to them? Remember, there's a balance. You're allowed to hear my information. Milk is what makes people immortal. Milk, food, nutrients, meat, or protein, complete proteins. cheese, eggs, whatever diverse. You got to have your fatty acid, amino acid, pro-hormones, and minerals. But then, the holistic industry, they like to play those games of, let's see how we can spin it to where we can sell you some fucking supplement. Let's see if we can spin it and sell you a drug. Let's see if we can spin it and sell you some cannabis strain. And so there's the whole campaign of marketing and capitalism in the holistic industry. And it's all over fucking Facebook. And so what begs the question is, are you going to survive all the storylines? So if you don't survive and you have no intention of surviving because you believe you should die anyways, then it doesn't matter what I say or what the fuck you believe or do not believe. It's not going to matter because you ain't going to be around for it. So it's pointless to argue storylines if you're not going to be around anyways. So with that said, refrain from commenting if this bugs the shit out of you. And here's another thought. If I wanted to hear the official narrative in the 5 different waves, in 5 different waves, or ways, same thing, I would Google it. If you have another story around the same events that nobody has, okay, that only you have, and that was never told you by somebody else, or celebrated by somebody else. So if you have a unique storyline pertinent to you that nobody else has, because you are the one that lives your life and has the experiences you have, fucking share it. But if you're just regurgitating a holiday, if you're just regurgitating what some dude or some girl said over there, I don't want to fucking hear it. I really don't. I want to hear your own personal storylines around something. And not saying, oh yeah, we celebrated, hippie spiritual day 50 years later. Okay. I'm thinking like, were you on the inside? Was your mom and dad in some kind of something, or were they just given a time to go and celebrate something and they were the ones that partied and did all the drugs back then, and now they're like reliving their fucking youth? There's got to be something more than just, that you've all regurgitated what someone told you way back when, all the way to 1960s to all the way now. Are you one of the movers and shakers? Were you a Black Panther and you were the one that told people how to do stuff and what to do? Were you like a Bernadette Dorn that said, hey, you should do this, this, and this? Or was your mom someone like that? And you'll probably never fucking know. And so the only way you're going to know is you put shit together, you piece together your own life through a lot of work, and you put it out there piece by piece by piece. And it's not going to come out all at once because it never will. No one's going to tell you, yeah, this would happen. Everything is like speculative unless you put it together in your own personal world. Are you going to see that out there on Facebook? Most likely not. Because we have people who don't survive their fucking childhood, or they're lost in drugs, alcohol, and sex. So whatever memories they have, if their parents were part of that, is now being actively painted over with antibiotics, cannabis, alcohol, and sex, and children, and distractions. And look around you. Most of you are under the influence on some level. Okay? So you're not going to get anything fucking unique. So if you don't like my fucking way of looking at shit, move the fuck on. I don't want to hear it. I don't care if you think that you have the better official narrative. So if you have another story around the same events that nobody has, that you never were told by anyone or ever celebrated by anyone in your world, share it. But I don't need people repeating the same stories in 50 million ways. Maybe it's time to get a different perspective so you're not regurgitating somebody else's story. Okay? And so, yeah. So you can read that, but I won't let anyone convert me. And so, yeah, this was my take on the hippie people, past and present. And so the whole thing with hippie, hypnotize. It's the same, it's an allegory. It's the allegory of the sirens in Iliad and the Odyssey, when those sirens are so gorgeous. And we know people were engineered even back in BC days, okay? These women were so gorgeous. These sirens were so gorgeous. And they lured the men to their death, into the depths of the ocean. And then you see these girls on Facebook, beautiful, skinny, and they have a yoga routine. They have an exercise regime. They have a pill, a powder, a supplement, a detox, some kind of something to sell you. And it is antibiotic, or it is some other type of healing mechanism. It could be a massage therapy. Oh, let me touch you and play with your chakras. That's the sirens of the Iliad and the Odyssey. That's the hypnotization of mankind. Is you get their hormones all hot to trot. You get them bioengineered, genetically engineered. You get trauma done to their genitals. Now they want to go and procreate, and you have a beautiful girl that had trauma done to her genitals, and so she's gorgeous. Where do these gorgeous girls come from? From grooming. And then they go and attract the males and sell shit. And it could be selling you an insurance policy, or it could be selling you whatever the hell it is that's going at the time. That's what beauty is. It's the trauma, the programming happening at some point in the genetic line, and then it gets carried over every generation. So yeah, you're seeing like all over Facebook or all over the internet, these gorgeous girls, young girls, and you see like, dude, they've been sexualized at such a young age. Oh, I'm sure they were groomed. Could you prove it? No. Oh, it's all genetics. They have good genetics. Yeah, okay. You can develop demons in people. Mothers develop demons in their children. Mothers can develop demons within themselves. Fathers can develop demons in their children. Fathers can develop demons within themselves. If you are a father that left, you didn't develop that demon. You did, like, just by giving it birth, but you didn't carry out any more demons. So fathers that actually leave and mothers that actually leave because they're like, holy shit, what did I just do? And they knew they couldn't do it and they don't want to harm. What do? They say, okay, I'm gone. I'm not going to develop any more demons. What's already been done. And so, if anything, you should honor people that walk away, because you now have to develop your own demons and be responsible for them. And so nowadays, mothers and fathers really should be only honored for giving you food, clothing, shelter, and that's about it. And if they develop demons within you and you don't have any choice over it, then it's up to you when you get old enough to release those demons. And if you don't, you have no one to blame but yourself. And so again, balancing out the positive and negative around motherhood, fatherhood, parenthood, all of that. And there's so many storylines. And your mom's way of doing something, your dad's way of doing something, that patriarch, matriarch, activist way of doing something is not the only fucking way. It's not the only storyline out there. But I don't want people coming on my Facebook telling me shit that I already know. I know basically everything that you think I don't know. I know it all because I can Google it. I know human programming. I know all the conspiracy bullshit. I know the holidays. I was raised in the hub of all the fucking engineering, everything. There is nothing that any of you out there can tell me that I don't already fucking know. I'm 50 years old. I've been around the block. And I'm proud to say yes. And I released the demons. Okay. So my takeaway, don't ever forget. Don't ever heal. Remember everything. Your memory will save you. Nobody else will. If you want to forget, that's called rest in peace. Children are the vessel for the parents to forget. Because when the parents forget the pain, they don't ever teach their children to remember the pain. It's always being chemically forgotten or surgically taken out. And then only given the memories they want to give them, but not enough for survival. Obviously, because look at grandma's dying. So is grandpa. Oh, and so is mom and dad too. And so you see men will work themselves to death because they don't have anything evolutionary. And men do that. Most really manly men work themselves to death because they don't have enough sickness to warrant them to do any changes. And they're too afraid of sickness and change. Women get a lot of the different cancer, diseases and chronic illnesses because we're evolutionary. We feel shit. But then what do? We take, when we don't know any better, we're told by our mothers, go get an operation. Go get an herb, an extract, a surgery. Go get it sucked out. Go get it lobotomized out. Go get plastic surgery and Botox. So we have weaponized, again, our mothers. We have weaponized our mothers against our children. And so then they only give them memories they want to give them, but not enough for survival. That's my take on Mother's Day. So what was it all for? Somebody giving you memories that you can't even save yourself with? Robots get memories uploaded to their hard drive. They also get applications upgraded based upon the programming. Sir, tell me who's really artificial intelligence? Those who want to forget everything and they want somebody else to upload memories into their body, mind, and spirit because they can't do it for themselves and they choose not to remember anything to save themselves or even their own genetic line. As you can see why I get pushback, because we have mothers and fathers that don't give a fuck. They just want to save the world from whatever, but they don't care about surviving. They just want to say, oh, they're trying to destroy us. Okay, fucking surviving. Oh, but they don't want to hear that. And so I tell this to some people, I say this, on my Facebook, and people, that's why I had to release that one lady on my Facebook. I brought her back from before. But again, she wanted to take offense because of the whole hippie, hypnotized. There's specific costumes. There's even the way you wear your hair. There's even the way you talk, the way you speak, that tells people that you are a hippie. You're into hypnotizing. You're at war with somebody. And then look at all the hippies they're not about peace. All the hippies, when you think about it, with all the shaman stuff, and they're wearing the specific outfits, and they're wearing their hair in specific ways, they don't wash their hair or whatever, they're at war. But who's their enemy? Oh, they'll tell you so many different people are their enemy. So I don't want hippies on my Facebook defending their religion and then using the whole isms. Be very careful painting a broad stroke and with people the way they wear their hair and their culture. Well, at this point, I never pointed anyone specific out. I just said that we have African American, we have white, we have Asian, we have European, we have Hispanic that wear their hair in the culturally acceptable hippie way. And they wear the costumes. And they do the different DRUGSs, the cannabis. That's not racist. But people will paint that when they don't want an intellectual conversation questioning their identity. And so you have to question everything that you have came to know. And if you can't question your own politics, your own religion, your own science, I don't care if you changed it from last week, if you can't even question every single fucking belief system you ever held, whether it's from thousands of years ago to today, get off the fuck off my Facebook if you can't handle my information. Just get the fuck off. Don't even respond to me or try to justify your belief system, because I will block and delete. Because again, all storylines are relevant, and you can develop your own and develop a new world, and also point out the bullshit from yesterday. And it could be yesterday, it could be 10,000 years ago. But you're allowed to point out the bullshit without going personal on somebody else. But you are allowed to question cultures. You're allowed to question religions. Just don't go personal on a specific person. But question the whole culture in general. And that is an art. Because people like to go personal. Because they don't see the bigger picture. They don't see one person who happens to be a certain race or a certain age group. And so when they say stuff, then they even inadvertently, subconsciously come off as an ism or an ist. But again, you have to then bring yourself into it. If you want a culture and everything questioned, then you got to question your own culture as well. If you can't question your own culture, whatever. And so, yes, scientists even weaponize people against each other and use weaponization programming as a cover story to misdirect observers. Look at your Facebook. Look at your politics, religion, science dogmas. Sisters, brothers uses weapons against each other. My own family. Or whatever. Okay? And so hippie equals hypnotize people. Words, smells, sound, outfits are obvious, or the amount of skin exposed are obvious aging process. They hypnotize you into destroying yourself. That's the nonviolent hippie movement, hypnotization, but it's still a war. You're wearing the war outfits. The war outfits, all the hippie stuff. The crunchy moms, the crunchy dads, granola people, and it's all people in general. They're wearing the outfits. You can always change your outfit. Am I saying skin color? No. Am I saying ethnicity? No. Am I saying even eye color or mouth structure or am I saying anything physiological? No. Am I even saying hair type? No. But the costumes you wear, you don't have to dread your hair. I use regular shampoo. I'm not afraid of chemicals. I'm not into the organic bullshit. I'm not into that programming. And so you can always change your hairstyle. You can always change your clothes. But you can't really change your skin. Maybe your skin might change, but that's why I don't point out skin color. I don't point out anything physiological. I say obesity, emaciation, but that's all relative. If I point out anyone specific, well, everything's relative. So don't even pull the fucking race cards on this shit. Don't even fucking pull it, because that's a way for people to stop the conversation, to block the conversation, because they can't acknowledge or even question their own belief system. And so that's why she was taken out of my group, or taken out of my page. She couldn't question it, and she went right to the fucking card. And she's not even, well, I'm not gonna say that. Anyways, so that's non-violent hippie movement, hypnotization. Like the sirens luring the sailors into the ocean and drowning them. Okay, I already told you that story. So the hippie chicks and dudes selling you drugs, herbs, sex, supplications, supplements, dreadlocks, drum circles, psychedelic retreats, beauty advice, tantric sex retreats, astrology, tarot cards, occult and fear advocating communal living, religious communes and get-togethers, surgeries, marches, history repeats. And that's why I did that reel about history repeats, showing you the Dust Bowl and then the mask because of the dust, and then showing you COVID with people wearing the masks. And of course, the homelessness, the shanty towns over there in Kansas, Nebraska, the Dust Bowl. And then we're seeing people in San Francisco, again, in different shanty towns with their tents, tent cities versus shanty towns in the middle of America back in the 1930s. History repeats itself, okay? And so not racist, black, white, Asian, European dreadlocks are as a symbol of you're at war with somebody. You're at war, okay? Not everybody in certain races have dreadlocks. So my point exactly, questioning the shamans in our society, who and what are you fighting, and who have you pointed out as the enemy? Programming people to go to war with each other and themselves. So in pre-Columbian America, pre-Columbus, Oceania and Africa dreadlocks were used as a social and cultural symbol, often associated with shamanism. This hairstyle represents a connection with the divine and with the spirit realm, and was often used as a symbol of strength and integrity for warriors and chiefs. Warriors. Dude, I'm in a house. No one's coming to get me. I'm in a house. No one's coming to get me. There's no police out there. I don't see boots on the ground from the UN or somewhere else. And if I'm wearing dreadlocks, if I'm wearing all the hippie clothes, I'm starting the war. I'm already starting the war. If I'm wearing patchouli oil and playing with tarot cards and selling you all the antibiotics, all the tinctures, all the energy healing shit, I'm representing a war starting right here and then inviting you to go to war with me. If I'm selling you a tincture, a pill, a powder, an extract, a detox, organite, religion, politics, scientific dogmas, if I'm selling you any kind of religion, I don't care what it is, I'm selling you any healing remedy, any surgery, any medicine, pharmaceutical, I am saying I am actively lobbying the first grenade. So now you see how war has been instilled in people, in Americans, and then it bleeds out everywhere else. The war started in San Francisco, when you think about it. The organized war back in the 1960s. But there was wars happened before that, obviously. But it shape-shifted. So in these generations of the silent generation, the greatest generation, because the Great War, World War I, the silent generation, the baby boomers, the Gen X, the Gen Y, or millennials. Now we have Alpha and Beta coming up. So we have right now 7 generations are living together at war with each other, selling each other war under the sun, everything under the sun. So when you realize that's what's going on, step out of the war if you know that you're in the fucking war. And it could be changing your hairstyle. It could be throwing away the clothes that signify that you're a warrior, you're a chief. Because who are you at war with? Oh, yourself. Because ain't no one coming after you. No one's making you do anything you don't want to do. No one's coming into your house. So who are you at fucking war with? Yourself. Watch the women and men who use their healing words, floaty words of love, sex, hormones, assets, boobs, legs, and body parts to sell an image, or use material wealth image as a tool in selling their religion on top of that, i.e. hot chicks in nun outfits sprayed with patchouli oil and lemon balm. Granola moms and dads, people selling you drum circles and retreats. All religions selling you saviors, in dead people and herbs. All hippie chicks, men, dudes, women. I hope you all break the spell. Okay, so we got that. And so, yeah, so I posted that guy that started that whole beatnik and hippie generation way back in the 1960s, and he passed away in 2001. Okay, but yeah, people were weaponized back then. Their essays and stuff were used as tools. And you see that in Hollywood. You saw that Jack Nicholson was one of the stars in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was Ken Elton Kesey, who was the father of hippieism. He wrote that book, and then Jack Nicholson played that part. And the 1950s, 1960s, that's why I posted those reels of even the 1930s, Art Deco. I was raised with Art Deco. I love Art Deco. Fuck yeah, that's some beautiful architecture. So my mother instilled in me a lot of art, music, museums, academia, so scholarly stuff, and also fear and division, and so I had a mixture of both. So I have places to go when I need to channel. When I'm releasing demons and I don't know where the hell they come from, I have places to go. What do you mean I have places to go? I go in my mind and I go on Facebook. Facebook and Google has everything you could ever want. Google whatever you want. Google whatever in your head, and then you put together stuff and you release the demons. And so yeah, music is a way to release the demons or develop demons. But channel, right now people don't know how to channel their energy. They channel it in activism and perpetuating a war. I'm trying to release those demons and not actually get into any more wars, which is why I block and delete. Because people actively try to invite me into a war, inadvertently, subconsciously, and they are the hippies who claim to be peaceful. They are the love, all about healing. Yeah, so you forget, you never remember, or you're hypnotized, and then then you get re-victimized, I guess, because you don't have remember any memories. And so, yeah. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And I don't want to make this too long. But yeah, so Bob Dylan, totally timeless. The times are changing. He wrote that song back in the 1960s for today. And again, if you identify as a hippie, I don't care what kind, smoking pot, partying, having a bunch of kids all the time, yeah, you're declaring war on everyone around you, and even yourself. Have a good day. Bye. Oh, and if you're into your politics, religion, and science dogmas and the activism, you're declaring war. I stepped out of the war. Bye.